Hello, my name is Andrew Ho, and I'm a PhD student in the Computer Vision Lab at Michigan State University, advised by Dr. Xiaoming Liu. My co-authors are Drs. Yaojie Liu and Xiaoming Liu from Michigan State University, as well as Drs. Xunyi Huang and Liu Rin from Bosch Research North America. In this video, we will present our BMVC 2022 paper, Blind Removal of Facial Foreign Shadows. To give an overview of foreign shadow removal from portrait images, I will first discuss the problem itself. Foreign shadows are cast by external objects outside of the face, such as tree leaves, hands, and cell phones. This should not be confused with self-shadows, which are generated by different parts of the face, such as the nose. Compared with self-shadows, foreign shadows are a less thoroughly studied topic, largely because the structure of foreign shadows is highly unconstrained and cannot be modeled using the geometry of the subject's face. Of particular interest to consumers is the problem of foreign shadow removal, since foreign shadows are often harsh and unpleasant in everyday selfies and photos. Therefore, in our work, we propose a method that can help perform foreign shadow removal from portrait images, which involves estimating a deshadowed image given an input image with foreign shadows. Our proposed method introduces three contributions to foreign shadow removal. The first is our decomposition of foreign shadow removal into grayscale shadow removal and colorization, which improves the shadow removal quality over naive RGB shadow modeling. The second is our Temporal Sharing Module, TSM, which improves the temporal consistency of video shadow removal as well as face symmetry using mirrored video frames. Finally, we collect a new in-the-wild video database with diverse foreign shadows called Shadow Faces in the Wild, or SFW, that contains shadow segmentation annotations. We will now discuss each of these contributions in detail. Given a portrait image with foreign shadows as input, our model begins with a grayscale shadow removal module that predicts the deshadowed face in grayscale. The shadow region is detected via thresholding of the grayscale difference between the deshadowed and input faces. We refer to this detected shadow region as the shadow mask. We then erase the face features within the shadow using the estimated shadow mask, and the rest of our colorization module is essentially an image in-painting step that tries to learn the erased portion of the color space. The final deshadowed RGB image is estimated using the deshadowed grayscale image and the learned color space. Our Temporal Sharing Module, TSM, ensures face symmetry using mirrored images, and can also be applied to video to ensure temporal consistency in video shadow removal. We discuss TSM in more detail next. Our Temporal Sharing Module, TSM, has two primary purposes: to improve the temporal consistency of video shadow removal, and to enforce face symmetry by using the horizontally flipped image of each frame as additional inputs. TSM starts by warping the features of each image f1 through fn, such that they align pixel-wise, and then performs temporal-wise max pooling to share the illumination information across different frames of the video. The intuition behind TSM is that parts of the deshadowed face, shown in some frames, can be useful cues to other frames that are trying to deshadow those parts. TSM thus results in more temporally consistent video shadow removal. Similarly, when enforcing face symmetry by using the input frame and the flipped frame, parts of the input frame under shadow may become illuminated in the flipped frame, which provides important cues for deshadowing the input image. We will now discuss our third contribution, which provides a solution to the lack of a large-scale database for evaluating in-the-wild image and video shadow removal and segmentation. We collect Shadow Faces in the Wild, or SFW, which contains 280 videos of 20 subjects with diverse foreign shadows. We capture videos of subjects using smartphone cameras in 5 different settings: indoors, outdoors while standing, outdoors while walking, outdoors under tree leaves, and while driving. Our database thus contains a diverse collection of images and videos with a large variety of foreign shadows caused by hands, combs, tree leaves, paper, rear view mirrors, cell phones, and many other external objects. SFW also contains 440 annotated frames for evaluating shadow segmentation, which we assured had shadow patterns that were as diverse as possible. Our labels are high quality and include foreign shadow regions, self-shadow regions, shadowless regions of the face, glasses, and specular regions. Now that we've discussed the contributions of our method, we can move forward to our experiments. To train our model, we generate synthetic shadowed images with corresponding ground truth deshadowed images. We take 15,000 f of HQ images that are either shadowless or lack foreign shadows, and add foreign shadows with random shapes and intensities to the shadowless images. For each image, we select 1 of 100 different shadow shapes and apply random rotations, scaling, and boundary blurriness to improve our model's robustness to many different shadow types. Since we synthesize our shadowed images directly from shadowless images, we have corresponding input and ground truth images during training. We can therefore supervise our model directly using the original shadowless f of HQ images. During training, we apply direct shadow removal losses in grayscale and RGB between the deshadowed prediction and the original f of HQ image, as well as a gradient loss to ensure similar spatial gradients, a perceptual loss based on VGG19 features, and a multi-scale GAN loss that improves the realism and perceptual quality of the deshadowed images. We pay particular attention to properly recovering the deshadowed face in the shadowed region and the shadow boundary to avoid leaving behind noticeable traces. To enforce this, we assign higher weights in our shadow removal and gradient losses to those regions. We will discuss our evaluations in detail next. Our first experiment is evaluating our shadow removal quality on the UC Berkeley test set, which contains 100 images of several subjects with diverse foreign shadow patterns, as well as ground truth deshadowed images. Quantitatively, our grayscale shadow removal and colorization model, GS+C, is able to outperform all baselines in terms of PSNR and SSIM, as well as our own RGB model that directly performs deshadowing in RGB space. This shows that our decomposition into grayscale shadow removal and colorization contributes to higher shadow removal performance over simple RGB modeling. Qualitatively, we notice that the state-of-the-art foreign shadow removal method, Zheng et al., produces some images containing noticeable artifacts, such as gray patches in columns 1 and 2, and erroneous yellow cues in column 3, whereas our model does not. We also outperform our own model with naive RGB shadow modeling, which leaves behind much more noticeable traces in the deshadowed regions than our GS+C model. Our second experiment evaluates both shadow segmentation and shadow removal quality on our newly collected SFW database. Our test set consists of the 440 annotated video frames with ground truth shadow segmentation labels. Our model is able to achieve state-of-the-art AUC and pixel-wise classification accuracy for shadow segmentation. Notice that our temporal GS+C model is able to outperform our GS+C model, which shows the benefit of our temporal sharing module, TSM, for shadow segmentation. Qualitatively, our temporal GS+C model's shadow removal quality also greatly exceeds the baselines, as well as our own GS+C model. TSM helps our temporal GS+C model in this setting by using the horizontally flipped input image as an additional frame, and enforces face symmetry, which shares illumination information between the input image and its flipped image. As explained previously, when the image is flipped, the illuminated portion of the flipped image may align with the shadowed region of the input image, which TSM can use to provide our model with cues for deshadowing the input image. These shared cues can help explain why our temporal GS+C model is able to better remove shadows and more faithfully recover the deshadowed region than our GS+C model with no TSM. Finally, we demonstrate our performance on in-the-wild video shadow removal by comparing the performance of our GS+C model and our temporal GS+C model on 4 SFW subjects. Notice that our temporal GS+C model leaves less shadow traces in the deshadowed images and achieves higher temporal consistency in video shadow removal, which demonstrates the value of our temporal sharing module TSM. The shadow masks estimated by the temporal GS+C model are also more accurate than GS+C. Thanks for listening. For more information about our paper, including code, pre-trained models, and the SFW dataset, please feel free to visit our GitHub repo.